during a time when everybody's thinking about their New Year's resolutions. What are my personal and professional goals? How can I achieve them? I'm going to bring us all back down to the ground and remind us to touch base with what really matters. And today we're going to talk to Lindsay about just that and how we can use that to make sure that our 2024 is the best year ever. Lindsay, welcome to the show. Please introduce yourself, of course, and tell us a little bit about why this topic matters to you and why it should matter to everyone else.
Oh, goodness gracious. Yes. Well, hello. Thank you for having me back on the show, Shauna. As you mentioned, I'm Lindsay Harle-Kadatz, and I am a business consultant who specializes in brand and culture. Most importantly, though, I am a Values Vixen. And why is that so important, particularly as it relates to this topic on setting goals, is because if we don't know what our values are, if our goals then aren't tied to one of our core values, it's going to be a struggle, let's say, to get yourself motivated to achieve the goals that you do set. So I'm all here for getting to what is it that we can do to make sure that we're setting goals that we will actually want to achieve.
That's what we all want. That's the whole point in setting the goal and setting these resolutions, whether you're doing it yearly or whether you're doing it monthly or quarterly, whatever your brain wants and loves. Tying it to those core values is so important, and reaching an understanding of your core values can be challenging. It can definitely tap into a side of yourself that some people have a hard time bringing to the surface. We were just talking about how getting kind of real and raw. Oh, hold up. We want Lindsay here.
I'm back. Am I back?
You're back. Okay. Oh, welcome to the power of technology. But in being real and raw, this is just it, right? People are afraid. And actually, this is beautiful. Because people are afraid of exactly that.
Yeah.
There's an Andy Grammer song that says, I'm afraid to open up with you because all of my parts will fall out on the floor. And I'm afraid of what you're going to think about them. And sometimes people say that to themselves. Sometimes people say that to the people around them. Like, what's going to happen when I bring that out? In setting these goals, what happens if I'm being real with myself and I say, I'm scared? What happens if I say, I have these quirks about myself that make certain things harder for me? Or maybe it's the opposite. And maybe it's, I'm scared because I know I'm good at this. What if I succeed?
Well, and there's also that question too of, I feel like I need to set this goal, but I really don't want to.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
That can really influence both our personal lives, but I've seen it a lot in the professional world with how do we set goals for ourselves when there are other influencing factors such as performance reviews and managers who are almost prescripting what goals you need to set. How do you get vulnerable in that to realize, how do we connect to these goals? What do these mean? How do we reframe them? There's a real yeek in that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the technical term, I believe.
Yes, absolutely. You need to check your dictionaries. It's there. Don't worry about it. Just don't ask questions. So no, but truly, it's exactly that. And when we have like a tech glitch, right? That's a fear that some people will have. And I mean, I know that this seems like a very minute example, but it can be extrapolated. So you can be fearful. Oh no, what if that happens? Hey, guess what? What if it does? What, did the world fall apart, or did we keep showing up? Did we keep being real and go, whoops, we're not perfect, because perfection doesn't exist, and we're going to show up and do our best every day.
Yep. And I think it is. I think with though, like that might have. So
I like it. We're good
with that little technology glitch.
Yeah,
I think it is those small moments, though, we allow to deteriorate or to build us up. It's in those little moments of time of where we get to decide, does this really matter? Do I need to react? No, I don't. I mean, I could have been on this side being like, what the heck? Oh my goodness. Why is my internet cutting out? It's so gosh darn windy. That's probably why. But instead it's just like, oh, well,
there you go. It happened.
I'll come back at some point and hopefully Shauna will still be there. And if she's not, well, then we'll just connect another way and explain technology.
And we'll figure it out. That's it. And we figure it out. And so, and I'm just going to, I'll bring us back though to that whole idea of like being vulnerable and showing up for our goals. And because this is part of it, right? This is one working piece of that. And if we have these goals coming into the new year, a lot of people are like, okay, so we're going into the new year. Q1 is going to be my time. I'm really going to shine. I'm really going to meet these goals. And maybe they are like real goals in your life. But have you been in this space? I want to ask, everyone listening, and I'd love to hear your answer, as well as, of course, Lindsay, I want you to chime in if this is a reality that you or people who you've worked with experience. It's just that that's what I want. And for some reason, and actually, extrapolate this. That's what I want. I actually know what to do to get there. And I'm just, for some reason, not necessarily doing the do, or the do that I know to do isn't doing the do. If you know what I mean, that's a whole bunch of do. But
yeah, there's a lot of do to do.
But you know what I mean? When you've got that goal and we're smart here. We know what we're doing. And it just, why am I not doing the thing? I just need to do the thing, but why am I not doing the thing? This happens to so many people.
Well, so this can go down a couple different roads right now. Number one, do you really want it? When you pause and take a moment and say, I know what I need to do. I want this. What is that tied to? So a lot of the times, for instance, let's talk about businesses in Soul Props and how are you building your business? Grow to your 7-figure business so fast. Do this, do this, do this. Okay, this is the year I'm going to get all the processes in place. I'm going to hit 7 figures this year. That's not a bad goal. However, I also know a lot of entrepreneurs and Soul Props who are working on their own not to hit 7 figures. They are doing it so they can have flexibility in their calendar, so they can pick their kids up from school, so they can do this, so they can do that, so they can help with the bills, right? So they can keep this. It's not about making 7 figures for them. But yet we're being told that this is what every single Soul Prop or entrepreneur or whatnot needs to be doing. You want to be making those 7+ figures. You want to. And this is how you do it. But here's the thing. Do you really? Yeah. So is that want? Check that want. Why are you wanting this?
That's it.
Yeah. And if you really don't want it, ask yourself, is there that external pressure to set this at a goal so that you're trying to keep up with the Joneses and not be judged on the goals that you're wanting to actually achieve? And that's where that vulnerability comes into play, is being honest with yourself, being honest with others. And that, so it's, why are you wanting to do the thing?
That's exactly, as soon as you said why, I'm like, that's it. Because surely, who doesn't want 7 figures in their back pocket?
Don't get me wrong, I want that.
Like, who's going to say no? But to set a goal for that, to have that specific thing be your goal, you really need to check yourself and say, is that the desire, or would that just be nice? Because those are two different situations. And that would just be nice is not necessarily tied to your core values.
Yes. Yeah.
And this is what's really important too, and you're going to come across this a lot, especially since Lindsay's one of our repeat guests, because we are really in tune with, hey, guess what? Authenticity is the way to go. We're going to be corny. We're going to be weird. We're going to be ourselves. And that's the way it is. And that's because you think, okay, because I love this, because you think about it and it's like, that's because core values. Because our goal is not necessarily, hey, listen, I'm not going to turn my nose up to 7 figures. You're not.
No, I'm not going to say, I'm not going to continue to work myself and grow.
That's not my goal necessarily. My goal embodies a little bit a different aspect. So a lot of my goals personally tied to my core values of leading with kindness, which are very multifaceted: authenticity, simplicity, comfortable confidence. All of these things are woven into my own personal core values. And so when I show up, my impact is different and greater. And so my goals look different than a number on a paycheck. And that's okay. So when you're setting your goals, as we're moving into that space, when you're setting your goals, this is our reminder, is just touch base with you.
Yeah.
And get real and raw, even if it hurts.
Absolutely. And I think one thing that is important is in this is, even if it gets raw and hurts, is what you had said, which I think is such a powerful thing, because very few of us actually take the time to sit down and understand, okay, so what are my values? What are these things that do fill my life a little bit more, that fill my life with more meaning, that, you know, help me get off the couch on those very low motivated days? What are those? And that's a scary thing to really ask. What is it that motivates me personally? Because that means you have to go inside and you get to make decisions for yourself. And that is freaking scary. And the hardest thing, you then don't get approval from outside. You have to give yourself approval for saying, yeah, this is my value. This is why. This is how I express it. This is when I feel it. This is how I show it, so on and so forth. This is what this value means to me. So that then also talks a lot about what your actual beliefs about yourself are.
Yeah.
So when we're really digging in and starting to look at our values and understand what that means, we're also digging in and understand what beliefs are informing me as to what I want my life to look like. How do I believe on this deeper level what life is, and where do I fit in? And am I actually moving towards things because I'm not afraid of success? Or am I staying away from it because I am? So there's this whole level of what values actually do, is it helps you understand who you are. What is it that matters to you? How do you operate in your actions? How do you then set goals that connect deeper? So if we're saying, for instance, you are given a quota as a salesperson, right, in the business of you need to sell 50 units. I don't know, that seems low. But you really don't care about what these units are. But you know that you need to make the thing in order to have a job. But why is that important to you? Why do you need a job? What is that important to you beyond paying the bills? Well, what happens if what's really important to you is your family? And the goal isn't about hitting those 50 units so that you can make money to then pay your bills. What happens if that was, you know, that you're operating from a family value, you need to hit those goals, those 50 units, so that you can maybe go and take your family on a holiday. And that shifts how are we approaching our goals. And so when we're setting these goals, even if they're set for us by corporate, where we may not actually have any real say on that, is how do we frame something in a way that matters to us so that we feel motivated to go after that goal, rather than I set that goal because I was told to.
That's it. There's the nutshell. Crack it open and feast, because that is exactly it. And we can flip that around. We can flip the script, which is really fun to do. Because when you're going about your business in achieving your goals, many of the times, here we are, many of us here watching today are entrepreneurs or business minded. And so we have an audience or a client who we're typically speaking to. And when we're doing that, it's so important to be able to understand that within them as well.
Yes. Yep. You're right.
We said, okay, and just disclaimer, guys, listen. I got the glasses down. Listen, we already said we were going to do some yelling today, so don't be alarmed.
There's a lot of emphasis on yes.
Yes, because it's so true. Because listen, and actually there it is. Listen, because you won't be able to do it. you won't be able to tap into that intrinsic motivation that comes from connecting to the core values of yourself and your right fit audience if you don't take the time to listen.
And what does that mean? Well, I mean, the thing is, what's so interesting about the taking the time to listen is understanding what level of listening are you having to listen at. And the first level of listening often is not an external listen. The very first level of listening is listen to yourself. So when you're listening either to yourself or to others, what is going on in you? When you pay attention to your actual bodily reactions, brain reactions, all that jazz, emotional reactions, you get to have these moments of, well, what is going on? Why am I feeling this way? What is going on? I feel like I'm listening to my body and it's telling me something's not right. I've got this goal. I don't feel good about it. Why? That is a moment to pause and go and turn inward and reflect and say, what is going on? I listened to what was happening in my body and I needed, and now I need to pay attention because this isn't feeling good. I don't want to move towards this. And it has nothing to do with challenges or obstacles, because if you're operating and setting goals based on your values, challenges and obstacles that do come along, because they will, you'll still move over them.
Yeah.
They won't stop you in your track. No.
And that's too, and once you've done that, once you figured that out and you're like, okay, I've got it. I'm in alignment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm making choices and speaking to the people who I want to speak to, who make me feel good, light me up. If you're able to use that information, that insights from your personal experience, and then also apply that to that other level of listening, which includes the external, finding out what's going on with other people and taking the time to be empathetic and real with them, mm-hmm. and giving them the space to be empathetic and real with you, then you're going to be better able to get them to function from a space of alignment with their core values, with the things mm-hmm. that matter most to them. When then and this is the really cool part from a sales perspective, after you've done the marketing in order to get to that point in an authentic and ethical and moral way, mm-hmm. you've gotten yourselves into alignment, you found a right fit client and you are the right fit for them, etc. Now, when the obstacle comes in the way for them, where it's like, okay, money, that's a really big time. Oh, that's an obstacle for saying yes, right? So all of those obstacles, once you've really been able to tap into that, it's like turning a mountain into an anthill, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. right? Because now they're like, well, actually the time and money aren't really that much of an issue because I believe in this with so much of my core that mm-hmm. I'm just going to go whoop, step right over that and go, yep, I'm here. Yep. Sign me up. Right? It just happens. It makes it flow. That's conversion that feels good.
Yeah. Yeah. And I will say this, because, I've had this beautiful opportunity of walking alongside you for a little bit and being witness to that in you over these past little bits, as you and your own goals have evolved, as your business has evolved, but really as well as you've really but zoned in on who you are and your values are. And how do all these goals tie together? It's been an amazing thing to witness of an individual, and that individual being you. And I think that I would love to hear more about you in that world, and how has that shift in, okay, I'm now setting goals, really being very intentional with it. How is that really, and your energy and the belief in the goal even, and then because of that, the belief in the self?
Yeah, and it's such a multifaceted question, and this is how I help the people who I'm around, and I say it like that because it's my clients, sure, but it doesn't stop there, and I think that comes from that place of functioning from an internal validation type of space, right? I have already internally validated my core. Mm-hmm. My values are there. I'm going to serve my clients in that way and get them to a space where they feel comfortably confident stepping into their authentic power. I like to say, hey, you know what? This is the way my brain works, and this is kind of how it goes. What did I write? My brain doesn't always tick in time with the rest of the clock. That was one of my favorite things that came out of my face one day, and I was like, I'm keeping that because it's so true, right? I'm like, this is great, but just letting that be okay. And this is how I help my clients, but it's also how I help the people around me, because it doesn't just stop. You don't bring, okay, I picture this. Okay, you're going to a party. And that party is, and we're just going to, for the sake of argument, this is the entrepreneur marketing party. Okay. Woo! Right. I mean, maybe we've got some going over here, some twangy things going on. I don't know, but that's cool. That's cool. But the thing is, you're not going to just come with, you're not going to miss an arm and come, hi guys, I'm here, but I don't have my arm, but it's okay. No worries. You bring your whole self to the party. Okay. Yeah. Like, even if your arm, oh man, my arm has a tattoo and I'm worried about what people think. Or, I was born with a birthmark and I'm worried what people think. Or for me, I get cold sores right here on my lip. And this, so you've got a Cupid's bow. I don't know if everybody watching will know this, but if you know anything about lips and makeup, you've got your Cupid's bow right here, and you've got these two peaks, right? This peak is lower than this peak for me because this peak gets cold sores for some reason. And I've accepted that. People, if you go back, and I encourage you to do so because all of these episodes are amazing, but go back and watch some episodes and you'll see a cold sore. And it's okay. I don't go, oh, I'm not going to show up because I've got a cold sore.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I'm not going to say, I'm not going to show up because ADHD has me distracted. And so I'm going to talk about 10 different things at once today. I show up and we talk about 10 different things at once and we go, hey, so that was right. And we let that happen. And like, that's the part of showing up. And actually, Lindsay and I had a conversation before we started, because we do. You can hear us. We talk. Don't worry. It's not about you. All good things. But it's just about, it's about bringing your whole self to the table in such a capacity that shows people that you're real. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of things about the realness of being a human that can be really scary for you to bring forth, and sometimes scary for other people to see, but at the same time, really important that they do see, because they're going to see themselves in you and they're going to be able to engage in a really meaningful way. And everything that you do then, when you're seeing the meaningful way that others are engaging with you, will mean so much more. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I've got to, I'm just going to say it, because I've got a summit planned. And this is the first time I think this is the first time I told Lindsay.
This is the first time you've told me.
Because this is a pretty big deal for me, and it's actually, and I'm not going to give you guys all the deets because I don't have all the deets. But it's coming up soon. It's actually going to be in February, if all goes well. P.S. If all goes well, it'll be in February 2024, depending on when you're watching this. And it hopefully, again, if all goes well. You know what? When all goes well, it'll be a repeat event. Okay, we're shifting our mindset here. And it's marketing momentum for mental health. And so, thank you. See, this is where this is a really important thing for us to talk about, because when we get there, mid-February, your goals that we talked about at the beginning are going to seem really hard. The statistics show that I want to say it's like 85% of people who start out the year strong with their goals, by mid-February, they've fallen off.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That's okay. But that's why we're going to come in and we're going to talk about marketing momentum for mental health. We're going to talk about sustainable goals, sustainable business goals, but also the balance between life and business, and how to prevent burnout through that sustainability. Because that's essentially what happens. You get gung-ho and really excited about your goals, and I want you to be excited. And then you go at 100%, but you can't go at 100% until the end of the year. I guarantee you that. So you need to pace yourself.
Can I'm going to share a story right now, because you've just really hit on a key point of, you set the goal, you're really excited, but it's abandoned by the middle of February.
Yeah.
Very true. And I share this a lot when I give my Voracious Values presentation, because I think it's such a powerful example of what happens when you can set a goal on your value, not on a value that you should have, as you know, or you.
Should.
They should. They don't shit on you.
Should all over yourself. Do not do that. That's a law.
And and this is a couple of years ago. Funnily enough, it was February 2020, before the world closed down. But I connected with a colleague of mine, and we were talking about goals for the new year and all of that, because we didn't know the world was about to close down. And he had shared with me that one of his goals that he had set for the start of January was to work out every single day. Well, 5 times a week during the weekday. I said, that's great. How's it going? He hadn't done it once. Now, he set that at the beginning of January. We're in the middle of February. This goal is nowhere being close to being accomplished. So he said, oh, okay, let's talk, right? Rather than being, well, why not?
Yeah.
Why haven't you achieved it? But through conversation, it turned, he had set this goal on a health value. Mm-hmm. I'm going to work out so I can be healthy 5 times a week. The thing is, he'd never worked out before that. Not once a week, not at all. He would go home and sit on the couch and watch TV at the end of the day. That's fine, right? But you're not going to go from that to 5 times a week without knowing why you're doing it. And so as we had this conversation, it became very clear that the health value that this goal was set on was not going to motivate him off the couch. Instead, what we uncovered was the reason he wanted to do that was so he could feel better on the weekend, so he could play with his grandkids. He didn't need to be this buff, handsome fella, right? Yeah. It was, he simply wanted to not be winded when he was playing with his grandkids. So from that, we then reset the goal to, I'm going to stretch on the floor in front of the TV at the end of the day, period, to just start with, right? And he did that. And he started it, and he did it 3 times a week, consistently, because he knew that it wasn't about losing all this weight. It wasn't about being healthy. It was about enjoying time with family. So I think that's very much the, what is it? Why are you setting this goal? How will this motivate you off the couch, so to speak? Mm-hmm. What is that deeper reason that you're setting this? What will that do? How does that change everything in how you look at goals and values?
Absolutely. And if you've read, I know you have, if you, the queen,
you,
yeah, you, all of you, vous, if you're French, sorry, now I'm laughing at my own joke.
I'm laughing at it too, don't worry.
Here we are. But yes, if you've ever read Atomic Habits by James Clear, Tiny Habits, is that right? By BJ Fogg. They're going to really tap into your sense of being. And your sense of being comes from within those core values.
Yes.
That I couldn't imagine showing up on camera, having potentially difficult conversations from the standpoint of, I want to get as many downloads as possible. Mm-hmm. That wouldn't resonate. I wouldn't show up. I'd be like, nah, 0. This is my 0 shits given, guys. Like if I look at you and I make a face and I'm like, that's what I mean. Like, I don't care. Because it doesn't resonate with my core values. And but then if you say to me, and this is what I say to myself, you're going to change somebody's life. Mm-hmm. You're going to make somebody go from I'm not enough to I might just be good enough to I am enough to I'm going to freaking I love that. That to me is something I'm showing up for.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. And then we're going to take this a step further and say even deeper rooted than that. Like that's impact. That's very external. And it's meaningful to me. This is about the leadership. But I also very much have family ties. My family means everything to me. Yeah. And I envision my kids, I have 3 of them. I envision them growing up and they stumble upon my podcast or my YouTube channel, as one does. And they're like, oh my gosh, like, wow, like this is my mom. Like I want them to be proud of me. And that's that legacy piece, which a lot of people, I'm believing that this man who wants to spend time with their grandchildren also wants to leave that memory, which is legacy, that memory. Right? He took the time to be on the ground with me, even though his older body had a hard time getting up and down, but he did it because he
was a lot of popping and cracking as Grandpa stood up and down. But
my microphone is up here, but when I just did that, my knee popped. So I'm aging myself in the noises that my body's making, but it makes a difference. So it just, I mean, we've touched on a lot of really important things here, from vulnerability to goal setting to listening and communication and how do all of these things work together for your life and your business and achieving I don't even want to say the goals, but like achieving the level, achieving the level of being that you wish to embody. Right? That's amazing. I am going to ask Lindsay now, and I'm going to just let everybody know, because I know you're all like hanging on the edge of your seats. Lindsay's going to be back. This conversation's not over.
No, because I thought of like 5 more things we can talk about. Just as you were closing that off, I was like, oh!
I know, it's crazy. But, and, we're not doing buts, we're doing ands. And Lindsay's going to say her final words about this topic. And we will plan another day to have a conversation about what comes up next, because there's always going to be more. So Lindsay, I'm going to give you the stage. Let people know. Just give them that gold nugget that I know that you have within you. And then, of course, guys, listen, just connect with Lindsay. All right. She's going to tell you where, but I'm just telling you, just do so.
Oh, golly. My nuggets of wisdom, if we can call them that. I think with regards to everything we chatted about today is the taking that time to really pause. You know, right now we're in the middle of the holidays. Some of us have time off. But I think if we can take time during these holidays to just pause and say, what do I really want for my 2024? Who do I want with me in my 2024? What does it look like? And not necessarily look, because I actually personally very struggle with what do things look like, but what do I want this to feel like at the end of the day? How do I want to show up? And then once you sort of understand, okay, these are my values, these are my beliefs, this is the goal that I'm setting that's tied to, share that with those who are in your life, and how they could possibly support you, whether that be with boundaries, whether that be doing the thing alongside you. What does that look like? But when you share that with people who love you and who see you and who want you to succeed and achieve what you want in life, they will do what they can do to support you. So I think that's one of those other big pieces is you know, this vulnerability of getting to know thyself, understanding who you are, how does that operate, what is really motivating for you to get off the couch, and that's good, and taking that time to listen to yourself and what is that, and then being able to communicate that effectively to those who are so important to you in your life that they will support you in whatever that looks like, however that looks. But you also then need to know your boundaries from there and how people can help you in keeping those things in place so you can achieve. I'm not sure what all this handwork is, but it is.
I like the handwork. Never stop. All right. So you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell everybody that the link to connect with Lindsay is in the show notes. She's on LinkedIn. Search up Lindsay Harle-Kadatz. You're going to find her. She's got the blue hair, teal hair. You can't miss her. Listen, you want to reach out, you want to say hello. And just to reflect briefly on what Lindsay just said, and to tie it back to the very real fact that many people fall off the boat in February of their resolutions, of their goals. Okay. Mm-hmm. Remember that if you want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, find some friends. Mm-hmm. Right. And that's what Lindsay just told you. So if you go fast, sure, you're going to make it to mid-February. You're going to have a hard time. You make some friends. We're going to push you. We're going to get you going all the way through, and then some. Mm-hmm. So for more conversations like this and more conversations that are going to make you think a little bit more about your day-to-day and how you're showing up, because remember, you're never not marketing. Subscribe, because we talk about this at least once a week. More often than not, it's twice a week. If you live in my world a little bit more deeply, it's going to be way more than that. So brace yourselves. But here we are. I hope you all have a great rest of your week. Happy New Year.